You know, it never gets any easier to tell the truth because these last few generations, Gen Z and the millennials, they're so used to being coddled, and their parents filtered out anything that could harm their sensitive little ears. They grew up with participation trophies. They grew up thinking that they were special, that they can grow up to be anything they want to be, that they just have to put their mind to something and they can do it. Now, how do I know that these last two generations have been complete and utter failures and the rest of the human race is doomed? How do I know that the apocalypse is right around the corner? Well, folks, Marvel's Eternals is finally here. And I have to say that not only is this film the most infuriating, insufferable, and completely demeaning film I have seen in quite some time, but the fact that its sheer existence is something that has people excited tells you all you need to know about these weak-ass pussy generations. I mean, back in my day, we got excited for quality films. We weren't jumping up and down because of this third-rate bargain bin Avengers is about to drop starring absolute clowns like that moron who played Robb Stark in Game of Thrones to try to resuscitate his failing acting career. No, we got excited for flicks that actually spoke to your heart, that changed the world, forced you to bring your perception back into line or re-examine it. Now, spoiler, not a prediction. Marvel's Eternals will do none of that. It's not going to have you critically examining your worldview. It's not going to give you perspective from another human being's life. It's not going to allow you to pose any challenging questions into your own mind, because then the biggest question above all, the giant question mark that would start blaring siren sounds in your head, would wake you out of your comatose state that sees you stumbling to the local theater, financially supporting everything Marvel shits out on behalf of Disney, asking why am I continuing to give these obscenely rich fucks money for movies that do nothing for me? They're popcorn flicks. They're sedated. You know exactly what you're getting. They are not unique. They're cookie cutter films that fuck around with the most boring, bland-ass characters, the worst writing since the Halloween franchise, and that's saying something, believe me, and some of the most god-awful CGI special effects I have ever seen. I mean, you would think with this obscenely high budget that they could at least make these goddamn aliens, explosions, plasma guns, and blasts look realistic, but they look like something a third grader would make in Microsoft Paint. They look like something that is completely and utterly defined by one word: amateur. And you want to know why Disney so quick and wholeheartedly jumped ship from the end of Avengers Endgame into the next group of people that they're trying to stake as the next Avengers? It's because they know you clowns are going to eat it up. It's because they know that whatever third-rate, bargain-ass bin hero they chuck out films for, like Shang-Chi, you people are still going to eat it up. They know that if they rely on the old crew, the old guard, like Natasha Romanoff, Scarlett Johansson, and Black Widow, these people are still going to throw money at it. They could literally release a theatrical film of Captain America jacking off a horse, swallowing the cum, and saying a one-liner about how great America is, and you clowns would line up to pay for it. You would call that a piece of cinematic history, and you would get offended when it's not at the Oscars. You would be outraged when it's not recognized for its supposed cinematic impact, its history in the film industry. That is the problem with you clowns. That is the problem with the Eternals. We are tired. We sat through, what is it now, 32 goddamn Marvel movies to see an arc that should have taken 3. It should have been a trilogy, all right? But Disney saw that people were willing to pay to see Robert Downey Jr., Chris Evans, Hemsworth, and all the other clowns that make up the Avengers sit around and play dress-up for 2 hours in an adult cosplay session and get paid fucking millions for it. You dumbasses have funded the downfall of society, and if you think the Eternals is any different, I got news for you. It sinks to even lower lows. It has even worse acting, even more shoddy direction, even more piss-poor writing, and above all else, god-awful CGI. We are talking 1960s level, embarrassingly bad computer-generated imagery. It's fucking horrible. It's horrendous. And for the names attached to this project, I would say I feel embarrassed. But at the end of the day, they're getting a fat payday. If you can cash in on the stupidity of your audience and make fucking bank while you're doing it, what reason is there to hold back? One could argue integrity, another could argue honor. The smartest man would argue that those with the most power and wealth have a responsibility to give to the masses intellectually stimulating content. But we have to remember that we're dealing with the same society that adopted twerking. We're dealing with the same society that has a TikTok obsession. We're dealing with a narcissistic fueled society of little brats whose parents didn't have the balls to spank their asses. They instead gave them everything they want, spoiled them, and now these buffoons are content to watch mind-numbingly insulting films that will literally see your IQ points melt off as you take in minute by minute this cinematic regurgitation of dog shit that we've seen played out 15 times before with the same formula to worse and worse effect. Diminishing returns need not apply when your audience are a bunch of brain-dead zombies willing to hand over money and time to consume a product that you put zero effort into. And that's exactly why I'm giving Marvel's The Eternals 0 out of 100. It does nothing for humanity, it does nothing for the film industry, and it will make you a much less intelligent person. But hey, you guys are Marvel fans. You're already used to being completely insulted. You're used to seeing the middle finger of Disney and Marvel raise as the credits roll on the film, and you have to sit through another fucking end-credit scene so they can set up the next failure of a film that you'll run out to see at a moment's notice because your drones, your robots, your programming tells you to do one thing: give this corporation as much money as you can and forego your humanity and your intellect in the process. God's disappointed in you, and quite frankly, I can't blame him. If this is what my creation chose to do with the intelligence, skill, and opportunity I gifted upon them, I would have walked the hell away a long time ago and let them fend for themselves.